Okay, now let's write our main method, because we need to write our main method first once we've defined our class. Now to write our main method, don't forget how I asked you to write your main method. You write public. See, this is a compile time error, as you can see, and a red line showing underneath means a compile time error, a compile time exception. So we have our public void main, public static void main, then open brackets your strings, square bracket args, then close your parentheses, then open up your curly bracket. Now we've written our main method. Don't forget public, the access specifier, static void main string, then square args, then open our curly bracket. Now let's declare our variable. Now this is a comment, like I've said. A comment starts double slash declaration of variables. Now I want to declare, but don't forget I want to write a program to perform arithmetic operation. First, let me write my comment that program to perform a simple arithmetic operation. Okay, let's go further. Declaration of variable. Don't forget I'll be having my operation addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. That means I'll actually be adding two numbers, which means I'll actually have to declare a data type, a variable with a data type that store number value. So in this case I'm going to be using int a. Now a is my variable. Don't forget this is how we declare a variable. This means what? Your variable a stores old number value, because we've used this, ascribe it with a what? With an integer data type. Now a means a variable that stores integer data value, but there is a limitation. My a, I'm doing addition or subtraction. That means you are trying to do with int a, you are saying I can only add, subtract, multiply or divide whole numbers. What if I have a decimal number I wish to add, or I wish to subtract, or I wish to multiply or divide? So in that case I will shift from using a as my using int as my variable and switch to double. Don't forget what double means. Double is a data type that allows you to store a fractional data values into your variable. Now double, and since I'm going to be using not only a, because a is my first number, or let's just say number 1. Don't forget how I asked the rules for naming a variable. The variable must not start with a digit. The variable must not start with digits. That's wrong. And it must not what? It must not have any space in between. It will only have a compile error, a compile time error. So no space in between, and mustn't start with a digit. Now double number 1 comma number 2. What does this mean? I'm actually declaring two variables, one which is the first number and the second which is the second number, but both are using what? A data type double. If I'm going to be using different data types for different variables, I will have to separate the variables with what? A semicolon, and declaring this variable to be integer or any other data types. Don't forget, but since I'm going to be using double for both integers, I'm going to prefer using both, writing them on both lines, because each line is a memory usage on your system. So as a good programmer, you must learn how to conserve memory. Now since I've declared my variable, don't forget that this variable is called what? A global variable. This is a global variable. Why is it a global variable? Like I said, a global variable is a variable that are declared immediately after your class. After your class, any variable declared after your class is a global variable. Now let's go further. Now I have my two numbers. let's create a method that will do the adding operation. Don't forget, like I said, a method is basically a behavior. That means the action you actually want to perform is the method. Now let's create a method. So I use my access specifier public followed by void, then the name of my method, I'll choose addition, then parentheses, then open and curly brackets, then I write my code inside. Now what will I be writing inside this? I'll be writing my addition, the operation, my arithmetic, my operation codes inside. Now watch this. I'll say number 3 equals number 1 plus number 2. Now note something, there is an error. Now this is a compile time error. What kind of error is this? It's a compile time error. And what does this mean? When you look at this, it says cannot find symbol. And what symbol are you talking about? Variable number 3. Location, class arithmetic operation. Now what does this say? It says it cannot find this variable number 3. It means we actually haven't declared variable number 3. The compiler doesn't understand what kind of variable it is, so we need to come and declare this as what? Number 3. Now it have seen it as a variable and it's ready to be used. It's ready to store numbers. Now what does this line of code means? What does this entire line of code means? Now this entire line of code says that what your number 1, the compiler, the probe, your computer, your JVM should add the number value that is in number 1, or the double value, the fractional value in number 1, in variable number 1, add it to the fractional value in variable number 2, then the result should be stored in variable number 3. That is what this is actually saying, that number 1 should be added to number 2 and stored in number 3. Now these are the variable names, but the values are what is going to be added. The values are the things that are going to be assigned to these variables. That is what we call initialization of variables. Now initialization of variables means the process of assigning values to variable. Now let's write initialization of variables. Now initialization of variable, like I said, means assigning variables, assigning values to your variables. Now what does that mean? I'll say number 1 equals 5 and number 2 equals 8. Now note something, number 1 equals 5. 5 is an integer value, a whole number. 8 is also a whole number, but we are using a data type double, which is a fractional value. Yes, it will also accept whole number, but int can never accept a fractional value. Now let's see how this goes. That is the public void addition. Now I've written a method for addition. That's the behavior for what my object should actually perform. Now my object is actually going to perform an addition operation. Now I haven't declared my object, do not forget, but my object is going to perform addition operation. Now let's go further by creating another method. Now let's look at the entire code. Now let's go further by adding another method, which is the subtraction. Public void subtraction now number 1 equals 12 and I have number 2 equals 5, then number 3 equals number 1 minus number 2. Now this is the code for subtraction, the behavior for the subtraction method. Now this is the method for subtraction. Now let's write another method for division. We simply write public void division then we open our curly bracket and we will insert number 1 equals 20, number 2 equals 4, then we say number 3 equals number 1, or number 1 divided, okay, there's an error in my, that's a syntax error, number 1 divided by number 2, ending of my code, which is the semicolon. And that's the end for the division method. Let's go further by creating the multiplication method. Public void multiplication so I have my number 1 equals 12, number 2 equals 4, and I have my number 3 should be equals number 1. Now in multiplication we use the star asterisk to represent the denote multiplication. So number 1 star, which is the multiplication, times your number 2, and you close the curly bracket. Now to run this, now let's assume we are done with our codes. We are done, we created 4 different methods, but we've actually not created an object. That means the object that the code we actually execute for. That means the object, not created the object that will actually perform these 4 different operations: method, addition, subtraction, division, and multiplication. Now to do so, to create a method, like I said, we have to create our class name. Use our class name, that's arithmetic. Don't forget arithmetic operation. Then the name of your object, which is, you can use any name of your object. Let's use obj equals new, then the class name arithmetic operation, then your parenthesis and your semicolon. Now we've created an object, and what is the object name? This obj is the object name. Now you will notice something underneath the object name, which is a brown line. Now what does this brown line means? Now look at this int. It says may split the dictionary to, okay, that is not it. This brown line means what? This object name hasn't been used. You can see variable obj is not used, but that is not, it is a good thing. It is not actually a bad thing, but it's trying to tell us that our object has not been used. Now to make use of the object, to call the object, we need to create a method that we actually the object we call, which we also perform each of these methods written here. Now what kind of method are we writing? We can decide to use public void results. Now I'm going to explain something to you here, and you're going to listen. Now in this result, I'm going to write some codes that I want the system to perform. Don't forget, addition is just a method that actually means the object is going to add these 2 numbers. Now subtraction is a method that actually contains the code that the object is going to do to subtract 2 numbers, while division is also a method that contains the code that the object should do to divide 2 numbers. Likewise, multiplication is a method that contains the code for the object to multiply 2 numbers. But how will this object see each of this method when will this object know that I am to add? When will this object know that I'm to multiply or divide or subtraction? Now that code is going to be written inside this method called result. Then the object is going to be calling on this result. This result is going to be referencing each of this method, each of the method: addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Don't forget, I repeat, inside this result, the result method is going to contain the code that the object should perform. Now inside this result is going to make reference to each of these method, which is the multiplication, division, subtraction, and addition, while the object is going to be calling on this result method. Now look at this. I'm trying to write a code for the system to print something on the screen. Now for the system to print something on the screen, you write this exact syntax, which is system dot out dot print line dot print line, then you open your parentheses, and whatever you want the system to actually write out for you, the addition of two numbers, or let's put it this way, the addition of a particular number. Now I'm going to call the number, but before I call the number, don't forget there's something here, which is what? A quote, two quotes. Now this is an opening quote and this is a closing quote. The purpose of this quote means you are actually telling the computer, this compiler, to print this exact statement within the code, to print this exact statement within the code. That means the system is going to print the addition of. Now addition of what I want to present, I'm going to actually call the variable names only. Variable names only in this case is the number 1 and number 2. That means it's not going to be print number 1 out, but it's going to print the values that are stored in number 1. Now in this case, for multiplication, it's going to print 12 and bring it out. In this case, and number 2 is going to print 4 and display it. So the addition of, to write a variable, you create a plus, put a plus space, then you write a variable number 1, addition of, so it brings out the number, so it's going to be the addition of 12, then and plus, then I open a quote because it's going to be a string. I want the system to print this exact statement, and then a plus number 2, another plus, then a quote, which is, then I'm going to put a plus, then the result, which is the answer, which is number 3. Now since I'm done, I end my code with a colon. Now let me reduce it for you to see. System.out.println, the system is going to show the addition of, now number 1 is the value stored in this variable number 1, so it's going to print, in this case, if the number 1 is 12, it's going to print the addition of 12 and 4 is the result. Are you getting it? The addition of 12 and 4 is the result. The result which, after the calculation, after the operation, the value stored in number 3 is what's going to be displayed out here. Now but there is a problem. If you notice this, how will the system understand which number 1 is to bring out? Is it the number 1 for division, or the number 1 for subtraction, or the number 1 for addition? Now to specify what number 1, 2, and 3 the system is to bring out, before this system.out.println, you have to call the method which is to use. Now for example, I want to make use of the addition method first, so I call the addition method by writing addition, then open bracket, then I end with my semicolon. Okay, sorry, there's an error, a syntax error. Now what error is that? Now when you look at it, say cannot find symbol, and the symbol is the method addition. Now when we go, let's go back to look at our addition. Oh, there's an error. Our addition is actually in capital letter A. Let's just change this to small letter A. Now since we have it as small letter A, come back to this, find that it has been what? The error has been reversed. Addition. Now we have called the addition, and it's going to print this exact same line for us. Now let's run this to see. Now it's asking select the main class. This is the main class. Okay, now let's look at it. It's running. Let's wait for it. Now it's okay. Oh, sorry, if you notice, the result is not showing. Now why is the result not showing? Because the object has not been called to make use of this result. Are you getting it? Now let's call the object. Yeah, so what do you say? We say obj dot. Now we call on the result method. Results. Now since we've called on the result method, that means the object is going to perform this method results. The object is going to perform this method result. Why this method result is actually calling on the addition method. Now let's run it. This is the wrong key, and let's see. Now see the addition of 5 and 8 is 13. Now can you see this? Now the addition of 5, if you look at it, wrote 5.0. Why? Because the data type we stored it in was actually 5.0. So you see the addition of 5.0 and 8.0 is 8. Now let's go further by doing the subtraction. But when we notice there's no space in between, so let's create a space. And let's go back and do the subtraction, still on that same code. And let's go to the next line and call the subtraction method subtraction. Now we call the subtraction method. Just copy this exact code since it's still the same thing, but what we just need to change is subtraction. Now let's run it to see. Now can you see the addition of 5.0 and 8.0 is 13. The subtraction of 12.0 and 5.0 is 7. Now what does this mean? It means the computer have actually done this. Can you see the number for subtraction? The number 1 is what? 12, which is what is displayed, not the variable itself, but the number, the data, the value stored in the variable. And number 2, which is 5, then it performed this operation and stored the result to number 3, which gives out the result as what? 7.0. Now let's go further to do the other addition, the other arithmetic, which is the division and the multiplication. Let's call on the division method and write the division of number 1 is that. And let's do the last one, multiplication. There's an error. Multiplication. I think that is not the way we spelled it there. Okay. See, I think the error has been averted. Good. Then we come here and change it to multiplication. Okay, now let's run the entire code to see. Now look at this. The addition of 5.0 is 13. Yes. The subtraction of 12.0 and 5.0 is 7. Yes. The division of 20.0 and 4 is 5.0. Now look at the division method, 20 and 4, so it gives us 5, and the multiplication of 12.0 and 4.0 is 48. Now this is a simple way to perform, to write a Java code to perform an arithmetic, a simple arithmetic operation using the addition, subtraction, division, multiplication. Now we can also do other operations. Now don't forget, like I said, when you are writing your class, the first thing you do after writing your class, after defining your class, is to create a main method. creating a main method tells the compiler that yes, you're about to start the code, and the code is to start this its execution from this main method. And how do you create a main method? Start with the class name, the name of the object, name, then the class name with this parentheses and your semicolon. Now this object now is referencing a method called the result method. Now in this method result is actually calling all other methods that is going to be performed. That's the behavior we want the object to be performing. Now this method calls the behavior you want the object to perform, and the behavior we assign here are addition, subtraction, division, and the multiplication. What we just did, this system.out.println is a code to actually print something on the screen, which is what you did. The function of this system.out.println is to print this exact thing. Don't forget, whatever is written in this code is what is going to be going to show on the screen. While number 1 is the value stored in number 1, and number 2 is the value stored in number 2, and number 3 is the result stored after the operation has been performed. Now, and I hope that with this simple arithmetic, with this simple code we have learned, you have been able to write simple Java program to calculate and to perform arithmetic operation. But next class we're going to be going into something more complex, because one of the things we're going to be going into is we are not going to be inputting these numbers by ourselves now, as in by default inside the code. We are going to do is we are going to code it in such a way that user can actually input any number they want to input to perform any operation they want to perform. Now that will be our next class. And in the next class we're going to be going straight into the practicals to perform them. It's going to accept numbers. All this number 1, number 2 that is we are assigning. We're not going to assign it here, but we're going to assign it at the end point. That means when the user that during the execution, when the system wants to execute the program, is going to be requesting you for number 1 value. So you type in the number 1 value and you type in number 2 value you want to add, and it performs the addition itself and brings out the result for you. So that is what we're going to do in next class, and I hope you've gained a lot today. Thank you for staying with us. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. We hope to see you next class. Once again, this is Code Arena, and a new way you get to learn how to code, and constant practice with constant training. Within this 2 hours of training, you're going to learn how to program in Java perfectly fine. Thank you.